Have you ever thought that there might be a hidden layer to the world? A secret language, hiding in plain sight? Well, today we're diving into exactly that, a world where letters are also numbers, and words have these secret mathematical meanings. It's a code that has fascinated people for centuries, and we're about to crack it open.
So let's just start with this one big question. What if every single word had a secret identity as a number? And what if ancient writers actually used this to hide patterns and connect big ideas right under our noses? Well, this practice actually has a name. It's called gematria. It's this ancient system, mostly used with Hebrew and Greek, that literally turns letters into numbers. By adding up the values of the letters in a word, you get a single number that opens up this whole new layer of understanding the text. And this idea, it is incredibly old and surprisingly widespread. I mean, we see it with an Assyrian king way back in the 8th century BCE. The Pythagoreans in ancient Greece, they had their own version of it. And we've got solid evidence of Hebrew letters being used as numbers from 78 BCE. Heck, even as recently as 1890, a totally new numbering system came about. But we'll get to that one in a bit. Okay, so how does this whole thing actually work? Well, it's probably a lot simpler than you're imagining. In Hebrew, every single letter has a specific number that it's tied to. Just take a look. You can see the first 9 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are valued 1 through 9. Simple enough. The next 9 letters, they jump up by tens. So 10, 20, 30, all the way to 90. And the last few cover the hundreds. So to get a word's value, you literally just add up the numbers for each letter. That's it. All right, enough with the theory. Let's put this into practice with a super famous example from Jewish culture. It all revolves around one very, very important number. And that number is 18. In Jewish tradition, 18 is a huge deal. It's considered a lucky number, a symbol of life and good fortune. But why? Where does that come from? You guessed it, it all comes down to gematria. So the Hebrew word for life is chai. It's spelled with just 2 little letters, chet, which has a value of 8, and yod, which has a value of 10. You do the math, 8 plus 10, boom, 18. And this is a perfect illustration of the core idea, right? Words that share the same numerical value are believed to share a deep fundamental connection. Okay, that was a pretty simple example, but gematria can also uncover patterns that are, well, a lot more complex, and frankly, kind of mind-blowing. Let's look at one that feels less like a coincidence and more like a deliberate, intentional code. Now, to crack this next pattern, you need one key number burned into your brain, 26. In Hebrew gematria, the sacred 4-letter name for God adds up to 26, making it this incredibly powerful symbol of the divine. Okay, got it? Remember that number. Now, with 26 in mind, let's take a look at the numerical values for 3 of the biblical patriarchs. You've got Isaac at 208, Jacob at 182, and Joseph at 156. On the surface, they just seem like random numbers, right? But you know by now, with gematria, there's always something else going on under the hood. So take a look. Do you see any way these 3 numbers might be related? And more importantly, how could they possibly connect back to that key number we just talked about, 26? All right, check this out. Every single one of those numbers is a perfect multiple of 26. Isaac is 8 times 26, Jacob is 7 times 26, and Joseph is 6 times 26. I mean, let that sink in for a second. The numerical values of the patriarchs' names are mathematically tied directly to the numerical value of God's name. That's a pretty big coincidence, isn't it? But hang on, it's really important to know that not every number you see connected to a biblical text is gematria. It's super easy to get it mixed up with another system that was built for a totally different reason, modern scholarship. And this is a really important difference. Think of it this way. Gematria is all about searching for hidden mystical meanings. Strong's Concordance, on the other hand, is basically like a library's card catalog for the Bible. It's an academic tool that just assigns a reference number to every original Hebrew and Greek word to make it easy for scholars to look them up. So let's peek at how scholars use this. In the book of Daniel, the prophet is talking directly to a king. The Aramaic word he uses for you is anta, and it gets tagged with the number 607. Now, 607 has no mystical value. It's just a reference tag. But the word it points to is powerful. This is the word Daniel uses to speak truth directly to the most powerful people. It's all about personal accountability, about courage. So for scholars, number 607 just tags a word that signifies this bold, direct address to authority. It's all about language and context, not hidden math. So you see, we have these two completely different worlds, the mystical codes of gematria and the academic tools of concordances. And that brings us right back to the big central question about all these ancient numbers. In the end, we're left with this question. Are these incredible numerical patterns, like the patriarchs' names, just clever coincidences that people found by looking hard enough? Or did the original authors intentionally weave these mathematical relationships into their texts, creating a hidden message for those who knew how to look? What do you think?